The first time my daughter said she had no mother. I was standing only a few feet away. She didn't know I could hear her. Neither did the group of well-dressed people gathered around her at the charity gala. Someone smiled and asked, "Emily, will your parents be joining us tonight?" She laughed softly, the kind of laugh that tried to sound effortless. "My father passed away years ago." "I'm sorry." "Thank you." "And your mother?" There was only a heartbeat of silence. Then she lifted her glass and said, "I don't have one." The room stayed quiet for a moment. Someone awkwardly changed the subject. But I didn't hear another word. My fingers loosened around the tray of drinks I had been carrying. One glass tipped over. Red juice splashed across the white tablecloth. "I'm so sorry," I whispered. The event manager rushed over. "Margaret. Watch where you're going." "I'm sorry." "You need to be more careful." "Yes." I bent to clean the mess before anyone noticed the tears falling onto the polished marble floor. Emily never looked in my direction. She simply continued talking with people who admired her. Doctors. Business owners. Community leaders. She wore confidence like it had always belonged to her. No one there knew. She was the little girl who used to fall asleep on my shoulder after nightmares. No one knew. I still kept every birthday card she had ever made. And certainly no one knew. I was the woman she had just erased from her life. People always assume families fall apart because of one terrible moment. Sometimes they fall apart because of 1,000 tiny ones. Emily was 16 when everything changed. Her father died after suffering a sudden heart attack. He had been our anchor. The calm voice during every storm. After the funeral, the house felt empty. Not because it was quiet. Because every room reminded us of someone who wasn't coming back. Bills arrived faster than sympathy. Mortgage payments. Medical expenses. Insurance paperwork. I worked wherever I could. Morning shifts at a bakery. Afternoons cleaning offices. Night shifts in the hospital cafeteria. Some days I forgot which uniform I was supposed to wear. Emily watched me leave before sunrise. She watched me come home after midnight. At first, she hugged me every evening. "I missed you." "I missed you too." Then high school became more important. Friends. Sports. Parties. College applications. The hugs became shorter. Eventually, they disappeared altogether. One evening I rushed home after working 14 hours. "I made your favorite soup." Emily didn't look up from her phone. "I'm eating out." "I already cooked." "I'm not hungry." She grabbed her purse. "I'll be home later." "Emily." She sighed. "What?" "We haven't had dinner together in weeks." "I'm busy." "So am I." "That's different." "How?" "You chose this." I stared at her. "You think I chose this?" She shrugged. "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." She walked out. The soup stayed warm on the stove for hours. I never touched it. She earned a scholarship to medical school. I couldn't have been prouder. The acceptance letter hung on our refrigerator for months. I showed everyone. "My daughter is going to be a doctor." People smiled. "You must be so proud." I am. More than words could ever explain. To help with expenses, I took another job. Hospital housekeeping. It wasn't glamorous. Nobody noticed the women pushing cleaning carts through empty hallways. But I noticed everything. Children taking their first steps after surgery. Families praying together in waiting rooms. Nurses comforting strangers. Doctors refusing to give up. Every hallway carried a different story. Mine was simple. Keep working. Keep smiling. Keep Emily in school. Years passed. Emily became one of the youngest physicians at the hospital. Ironically, the same hospital where I quietly polished floors every evening. She didn't know. I never told her. She was embarrassed enough that I cleaned buildings. She didn't need to know I emptied trash cans. Whenever coworkers asked, "Isn't Dr. Emily Carter your daughter?" I'd smile. "Yes. You should tell her you're here. Maybe someday." But someday never came. One afternoon I saw her alking quickly through the emergency department. Her white coat fluttered behind her. She looked exhausted. A young nurse hurried beside her. "Dr. Carter, room 12 is ready." "I'm coming." As she passed me, our eyes met. Just for a second. Recognition flashed across her face. Then disappeared. She looked away. Walked past. As though I were another stranger mopping the floor. My chest tightened. Still, I smiled. Because she was saving lives. That mattered more than my broken heart. The hospital director often stopped to chat. "Margaret. Good evening. I've been reviewing volunteer records." "Oh? You've volunteered here for 23 years. "I suppose I have. And donated every holiday bonus back to our children's fund." "It wasn't much." He smiled. "It was everything to someone." I laughed softly. "I've never needed much." "What would you like your legacy donation used for?" I thought for a long moment. "If possible. Yes? Children whose parents can't afford treatment." He nodded. "We'll make sure of it." I never imagined those words would change everything. Months later, the hospital completed a new pediatric treatment wing. A celebration was planned. Doctors, donors, staff. Everyone would attend. I planned to skip it. Big events weren't really for women carrying mop buckets. But the director insisted. "You've earned this." "I only cleaned the place." "You've done far more than that." "I don't need recognition." He smiled. "Sometimes recognition isn't about what we need. It's about what others need to know." I didn't understand what he meant. Not then. The ceremony began beneath bright lights. Families filled the lobby. Children laughed as colorful balloons floated above them. Emily stood near the front with the hospital board. She looked elegant. Confident. Successful. Exactly the woman I'd prayed she'd become. The director stepped to the microphone. "Today," he began, "we celebrate more than a new building." People applauded. "We celebrate compassion." Large curtains slowly parted. A beautiful stone wall appeared. Hundreds of names were engraved across it. Donors. Volunteers. People who had quietly shaped the hospital over decades. Emily glanced toward the wall without much interest. Then, she froze. Halfway down the center, letters carved into polished granite caught the light. Margaret and Carter. Below the name, another inscription. "For 23 years of selfless service and unwavering generosity to children and families in need." Emily blinked. Once. Twice. She stepped closer. "No." She whispered it so softly no one else heard. The director continued speaking. "Mrs. Margaret Carter requested that every contribution remain anonymous during her lifetime." The crowd turned. Searching. Looking for the woman whose name occupied the center of the memorial wall. The director smiled. "Margaret." My heart skipped. "Would you join us?" Every pair of eyes followed his gaze. Mine met Emily's. She looked at me as though seeing me for the first time in years. The mop bucket was gone. The housekeeping uniform was gone. For the first time, she wasn't looking at a cleaner. She was looking at her mother. The mother she had once told the world she didn't have. Her lips trembled. Tears filled her eyes. She slowly shook her head. No. The word broke apart. You. She couldn't finish. I walked toward the stage quietly. The applause echoed through the lobby. It felt strange. I had spent my whole life trying not to be noticed. The director handed me a small plaque. You taught this hospital that kindness doesn't always wear a white coat. I smiled. I only did what anyone would do. He gently replied. No. You did what very few people ever do. The applause grew louder. I looked toward Emily. She wasn't clapping. She was crying. Not politely. Not quietly. The kind of crying that comes when years of pride finally give way to truth. Before anyone realized what was happening, she crossed the room. Ignoring the cameras. Ignoring the guests. Ignoring the whispers. She wrapped her arms around me so tightly I could barely breathe. Mom. The word cracked in the middle. I'm so sorry. I held her just as I had when she was little. You don't have to. Please. She pulled back, tears streaming down her face. I told people. She couldn't continue. I know. I said I didn't have a mother. I heard. She buried her face against my shoulder. I wanted everyone to think I'd made it on my own. I gently lifted her chin. You did make it. No. She shook her head. I just never saw who was carrying me. The room had fallen completely silent. Doctors quietly wiped away tears. Nurses looked down. Even the photographers lowered their cameras. Emily took my hand and turned toward everyone. Her voice shook. I've delivered speeches about compassion. She smiled sadly. But I never recognized the most compassionate person in my own life. She looked at the wall. My name may be on patients' charts. Then she looked at me. But hers belongs on that wall. She took a slow breath. And in my heart, I couldn't stop crying. Not because she had apologized, but because after all those years, she had finally called me what I'd missed hearing more than anything else. Mom. That single word healed wounds time never could. From that day on, Emily never introduced herself without introducing me too. This is my mother. She would smile proudly. The strongest woman I've ever known. People often asked if seeing my name carved into stone was the greatest honor of my life. I always smiled. Then I shook my head. No. The greatest honor, I would say, looking toward my daughter, was hearing her call me mom again.